The difference between struggling financially and building wealth is the little habits that we do every single day. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some habits that we need to do every day so that we can be able to create the wealth that we need. Let's get started. Number one, paying yourself first. You know, many times after we get our paycheck, we pay every single person but ourselves. So I find that this habit of paying ourselves first has literally worked good for me, and I believe that it can work good for you, because when we pay ourselves first, we are prioritizing ourselves. But when we skip prioritizing ourselves, we're saying every other person is more important than ourselves. So habit number one is pay yourself first. Habit number two is tracking every dollar that you make. How can you improve on something that you're not tracking? It's very, very important that you track every single dollar that you make, because money management is about numbers. But if you don't even know where your money is going, how are you going to create wealth? So for us to be able to create wealth, we have to track our numbers. You know, the wealthy people know every single dollar. They track their money. They know where their money is going. But even for us, we need to track every single dollar. And I know a lot of us, when we hear the word budget, we cringe. But if you don't have a budget, if you don't know where your money is going, then there is no way that you're going to create wealth. There is no winging about money. And that's where most of us fail. So track your numbers. Habit number three is invest in yourself. You know, a lot of us, when we hear about investment, we think about investing in stocks. We think about investing in real estate. We think about investing in businesses, but we don't think about investing in ourselves. But the best thing that you can do is invest in yourself. What do I mean by investing in yourself? This is like going to conferences, you know, going into masterminds, connecting with people that are making the money, and even buying books. Buying books is investing in yourself, taking the time to pour into yourself. And even for me, right now I'm at FinCon, where I am investing in myself because I want to get better. Because if we don't invest in ourselves, then we remain dull. And most of us think like, we went to school, that was the end of it. We hated books and we're done. So, but we need to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. How, if you want to, let's say, invest in stocks, how are you going to learn about stocks? That's investing in yourself. You have to maybe buy a course. That's investing in yourself. Watch a YouTube channel. You are investing in yourself. It might not be monetary, but you're investing your time. So that's habit number three, invest in yourself. Habit number four is avoiding impulse buying. And this is so common because it goes to number two, where we have to track our numbers. When we start going through impulsive buying, we are spending the money just because it's there, but because it doesn't have a goal. So number four is always making sure that you're avoiding impulse buying. If you didn't plan for it, do not spend any money on it, because you might go somewhere and you're like, oh yeah, I needed that shot, but did you really need it? Or you go see something, or you hear, oh, iPhone, I don't use iPhone, and you hear maybe iPhone 15, 16, 17 is out, but is it on your plan? What do you need this thing for, or is it an impulse buying? Or you go to the grocery store, you know, and you see something, or you're like, oh, we might need chicken tonight, but that's not even what you wanted to cook tonight. So make sure that you are avoiding impulse spending, because that's a habit that can delay your finances. Number five is network with the intention. It is say that your network is your net worth. You know, because of the people that you hang out, that is how much you are worth. Maybe look at yourself and say, how much am I worth? And look at yourself and say, whom am I networking with? The person that I networked with a couple weeks ago, how do they improve me? And we find that sometimes, you know, you hear the wealthy people saying they're in golf clubs, they're playing golf, and this is where they are literally networking. This is where the deals are being made. But what about you? Whom are you networking with? So make sure that when you're networking, you're not just networking for the sake of networking. And it's okay to have friends, but make sure you're networking with purpose. Look for groups where, let's say, you're into real estate. Look for where real estate investors are hanging out. Go there. Ask questions. Look to see where the interest that you have, where are these people hanging out, and literally network with intention, because if you're just networking for the sake of networking, then you're not creating net worth. And I'm not saying that, that all the time that you have to be networking just for the sake of like creating wealth, but for the sake of this video, we're talking about wealth. So make sure that this habit of networking is very, very key, and networking with intention. Habit number 6 is taking care of your health. How many people or how many of us sometimes neglect our health, thinking that we're building business, thinking that we're building wealth, but yet this is our health, and we work 80 hours, 120 hours. We're working day and night with nonstop because we think, oh, we're creating wealth, but we forget that our health is our wealth. Because if you run yourself down, how are you going to create this wealth? Make sure that you're taking care of your health. Create a day of rest. Create times where you're taking breaks. Let's say you're busy. Create time where you're taking that break. What are you eating? Are you putting, with all this business, are you feeding your body with all the sugars, with all the junk food, and maybe you're not even being intentional of what you're eating? So make sure that your health is the number one priority. Are you sleeping? A lot of people disregard sleeping. And as a health, I'm also a registered nurse. And as a nurse, I know the consequences of not having enough sleep. Like high blood pressure, depression, all these things. So make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And we find that even the people that are literally creating a lot of wealth, they take care of their health so much. You see them into fitness, the biohacking, all these things, the vitamins. So feed your body, the all these things that are healthy. So do not neglect your health. Habit number 7 is automating your finances. There is so much power in automation, and that's why we're seeing all this automation everywhere. Because when we automate, it gives us the freedom to just have extra time. So when you automate your finances, this is where you automate, maybe where I was saying pay yourself first. This is where you're putting aside like the whatever percentage that you need to pay yourself. This is where you're automating your bills, you're automating everything that you need, you're investing. Let's say you want like the 401k. If you need to invest in your 401k, that's automation. So make sure that you're automating, because that helps you take time away from like writing all the bills. And I know for me, my husband and I, when we set up our automation, it used to take us hours, like the day that we get our money to go through the monies, write all the bills, then mail them. Then it used to take us so long. But now because we have created systems where we know already let's say it's a car payment, your phone bill is already set, everything, your insurance is a certain bill, it comes out a certain time of the month. So you already know these things are already monthly. And instead of sending those bills all the time, make sure that you're automating them, and that saves you a lot of time. And that's time for you to create wealth, time for you to think about other things, and you're not being bothered and taking all this time to do your bills manually. Habit number 8 is using your time wisely. And I know this might not look like a habit of creating wealth, but people say time is money. But I can tell you time is not money, because time is inherently more important than money. Because right now, we can create, if you lost a job or anything, you can find another job, or you can create more money, but you cannot create more time. If right now you have 24 hours, you cannot create more 24 hours. Your time is your time. So that 24 hours, make sure that you're not, using your time unwisely, because a lot of people, they use their time, scrolling, checking your emails, doom scrolling on YouTube, TikTok, and all these kind of things. And then sometimes you end up finding out that you've lost 4 hours where you could maybe have used that time to educate yourself on something, maybe create something, or maybe read a book where it could have helped you with investment or something. So use your time wisely, and don't let the things that we love, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, steal your time because you are watching other people maybe create their wealth where you're there, letting time pass by. So use your time wisely. Habit number 9 is learn something new about money every week. And this habit is so important because schools do not teach us about money, and it's up to us to create time to teach ourselves about money. Or let's say it's budgeting, you're struggling with your budgeting. Create time to, let's say every week to learn something that you want to really learn about money. Let's say it's about investing. You always wanted to invest in something. Let's say it's a stocks, it's a real estate, something that you want to do. You want to buy a business. Make it a habit every single week. Or maybe you can just say it's blocks of things. Like as I said, let's say it's real estate. Tell yourself in the next 3 months, this is what I want to learn about something. Let's say it's about debt payment. What can I learn about debt? What are the consequences of debt? I have all these debts. What are these debts doing to me? Look into things, the books that talk about debt. Listen maybe to Dave Ramsey, something that is helping you, with debt or something that you want to do. So learn something new about money every single week. Habit number 10 is eat that frog. And what do I mean by eating that frog? A lot of people, they wake up in the morning, they start looking at their email. Again, they go to social media and they have goals, but you end up not doing all your goals or the things that you want to do because by the time that you're ready to do your things, you are already tired or exhausted or your mind is into something different. And this coin of Eat That Frog is from a book by Brian Tracy. It's called Eat That Frog. And this concept is where it says that, you do the hardest thing, the first thing in the morning. So you're eating that, literally it's eating that slimy things that you don't like. Maybe you're a content creator and you don't like creating videos. So take that video, that idea that you have that morning and just tell yourself, this is what I'm doing. So you eat that frog because whether it's really slimy and you just do it the hardest thing in the morning and then you're left the rest of the day. You've done the hardest thing and then you keep going on. So instead of doom scrolling again, eat that frog every single day. And once you do that, that's such a great habit because you're going to train your brain that every morning when I wake up, I don't have to look at my phone. Because how many of us wake up in the morning, the first thing that what we do is check our emails, is check the social media, is do things. Eat that frog. And if I can recommend a book, this is not sponsored by them, but Eat That Frog is such a great book and it really teaches you how to do the hardest things the first thing in the morning. Habit number 11 is turn your extra money into investments. A lot of us, when we get, let's say, our tax return, let's say you had a birthday, somebody blessed you with some money, a lot of us take that money and we just go splurge, we buy the new gadget, we buy all these things, but what if we turned our extra money that some of them is not really extra, it's money that you found that you should maybe have been using. Use that money, every single money that you get, don't spend it out there foolishly, just make it an investment. What can you do with that money? Instead of just buying the next gadget, or maybe going shopping and the new shoe, and maybe you already have 10 shoes or another outfit, don't use that money for that. Use that money maybe for an investment. What can you invest that in, or put it into your saving and let it accumulate, and you can call that bucket as your extra money bucket. And maybe at the end of the year, or when it gets to, let's say, 500, 1,000, and then you can invest in something. Maybe you can buy a stock. Maybe you can pay a piece of debt that you've been wanting to that has a very, very high interest. That's a habit that once we get into that habit of getting that extra money and put it somewhere instead of spending it, it's gonna create us wealth. And somebody might say, extra $200 is not gonna make me wealthy. But as I said before, it's these habits, they compound. And sometimes when we think about these small habits, we don't think that of them like as great, something that is great. We look at them and say, oh, this is nothing. But once they're compounded, it's a habit that, let's say you're a young person, it's a habit that's gonna grow and it's gonna compound. And every time that you get, let's say that extra money and you're putting aside, think about how much that money can grow, maybe even if it's for 2 years. So make sure that you're not eating that money up, you're investing it. Habit number 12 is being selective about debt. A lot of us sometimes get into debt because we buy expensive cars, go on expensive vacations, expensive gadget, or just anything, consumer debt. We all know about consumer debt. So, while on the other hand, the wealthy people, they use debt strategically, buying real estate, buying businesses, or even starting a business. So before you get into debt, ask yourself, is this debt taking money away from me, or is it building my future? So, and when you get into that habit of asking yourself these questions every time that you want to get into debt, or every time that you want to spend the money that you don't have, it's a habit that is going to serve you so well, because you're going to learn how to ask those questions. Is this debt profitable for me? What is this debt, going to do for me? What am I doing to myself? So make sure that you're asking your question, is this a good debt for me, or where is this debt taking me? Habit number 13 is spending your money on value-based things, not on the cost. Sometimes we waste a lot of money buying cheap things, thinking that, oh my goodness, I'm saving money. And yet, let's say it's a shoe that you buy, let's say a $20 shoe, and that shoe is gonna take you're gonna keep buying a lot of those shoes. But instead of maybe thinking oh my goodness, I need to look at the value. What if you spent $100 on a shoe, and then that shoe is gonna take you 2 years, as opposed to buying $5 $20 shoes every single time? So make sure that everything that you're doing is value-based and not the cost. And there you have it, the habits that can be able to change your financial future. And if compounded every single time, they can be able to take you to the next level. So let me know of which of these habits are you going to implement, or if you have habits that you use all the time and we can benefit from it, let me know in the comment and we can start adopting those comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.